last 4 games, 21, but only 10 points in yesterday's matchup against Davidson. He's going to have to be more effective here tonight.
Designated home team, the Hurricanes, wearing the white. And the traveling black for New Mexico State, who squeaked one out over Bob McKillop and Davidson in their quarterfinal matchup. And right off the get-go, Jaquan Newton missing the pull-up. He's coming off a season-high 16 against the Rainbow Warriors.
And a lot of respect for New Mexico State from the coaching staff of Miami, talking about how hard these young men play, how tough and physical they are.
Going inside, it falls. DeJuan Huell inside for Miami. The kick out. DJ Vasiljevic. Vasiljevic has made 16 of his last 28 threes over the last 5+ games.
You know, Roxy, one thing that I've been asking for, you know, I work for one of the greatest companies in the world, in ESPN, but one thing I yet to get, I need to see the three-point percentage. I believe it has to be double normal three-point percentage. It seems like every time you get an offensive rebound to kick out for a three, it goes in.
And the scramble play, guys are open. And right there, Vasiljevic making the Aggies pay. Shot clock at 10. Bruce Brown, the kick. Anthony Lawrence drops it off, and an offensive foul at Cheers. Marvin Menzies left for UNLV. Paul Weir left after one season last year, took the job at rival New Mexico.
Has still been sustained success in the basketball program, as you see Wilkins, as that right arm comes out, kind of an opportunity to defend that play.
Chris Rastatter, Larry Spalding, Todd Oppo are officials in the semifinal matchup. Again, the winner will play USC in the championship Christmas night. But technically, it's Christmas afternoon over here when they're playing.
We thought about until he said it, almost like an AAU schedule. They finished their game, which would be about 3 a.m. Eastern time. And here they are playing again at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So both these games have the same 24-hour span.
And a steal. Zach Lofton poked away, but a foul.
To play a lot in the second half and was a difference maker.
% foul shooter. Last year was the SWAC Conference Player of the Year at Texas Southern. And it's a grad transfer to New Mexico State, his 5th different school.
And has a chance to be the WAC Player of the Year this year. And if he doesn't win it, he should just put an X through the S on the trophy and says he got to it.
Here's a three on the way from Lawrence. And the offensive rebound, Bruce Brown skies a kick out. Vasiljevic, too strong. Jamario Jones pushes for New Mexico State. Blocked by Jaquan Newton.
Great job by Miami getting back defensively. That's one of the things that Jim Larranaga stresses to his team, their transition defense.
Here's a three from Sidi Ndidi. Coming up with new terms. Lofton off the inbound, missing. And Huell, the rebound, as Sam Wardenberg checks in, the redshirt freshman from New Zealand, who didn't play at all in the game against Hawaii here last night. Newton fouled, counted, and won.
And that's where Jaquan Newton is at his best. And Jaquan Newton really is not to finish through that contact.
So it's a 6-2 lead for the Canes. Swatted out.
This team has a great volleyball program, and DeJuan Huell, I'm sure, taking just a bit of the inspiration as he spikes that into the first.
New Mexico State 0 of 7 from the field. Now one of. We welcome those of you just joining us to Honolulu along with Corey Alexander. Roxy Bernstein with you. Semifinals of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. It's Miami trying to remain unbeaten. They're one of 4 teams in the country without a loss against New Mexico State. 2018 field of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head
basketball. I was told that TCU has not left their home gym yet. They have played pretty much every game at home. Is that true?
That's, well, I saw them, but
that's why
was not a home game.
That's why I asked you. So they have not played every game at home.
No, they answer your questions. When somebody else throws them at me, I try to ignore them. Poked out of bounds by
Green Ackerman. He made a big jump last year in his production with Miami when he and Buell were both starting. And
Jamario Jones with the biggest impact for New Mexico State.
And a lot of the impact was him being on the bench in the second half, unable by New Mexico State, where, you know, Coach Jans likes junkyard dogs. A.J. Harris getting up in the passing lane.
For the Aggies, they've received the automatic bid in the NCAA tournament for the WAC 6 of the last 8 seasons. Last year, they finished second in the league as Bakersfield won the WAC conference last year, but then New Mexico State won the WAC tournament and got the automatic bid. And Bakersfield had success in the postseason. They went to the Final Four of the NIT. Eli Chua from deep rattles out, and skying is Izundu for the rebound. Nice pass by Vasiljevic to a cutting Izundu for the reverse layup.
I'm disappointed.
You wanted to dunk,
Oh, my goodness. After what we saw him do yesterday, I wanted to see him put that one through the rim.
5 straight points for the Canes as Lonnie Walker in the game, the McDonald's All-American. He fires a 3 on the move. Rebound falls to Lawrence. And a reset for the Canes.
And this is where Vasiljevic really has to be more of a leader. You got your 2 freshman backcourt mates for the 3, but finding his way to the rim.
And Vasiljevic already with 8. And it's a 7-point lead for the Miami Hurricanes. Ball stripped in the lane from Joe. Rough start for Chris Jans in New Mexico State, dealing with one of the top defenses in the country.
You see Jones trying to operate in tight quarters, but once he loses the basketball, diving after it, and that's a scary place to get hit for Izundu as he limps down the floor, but staying on the court, encouraging his team.
Vasiljevic missing the 3. The rebound tipped out, and it's grabbed by Anthony Lawrence, or rather by Lonnie Walker.
And right now, Miami really beating New Mexico State at their game, especially on the offensive glass. We see another second chance opportunity.
50 balls.
They are, and again, this was a challenge that Jim Larranaga has talked to his team about. New Mexico State is a very tough team, and so he wanted to make sure that his team was up for matching that challenge to their physicality.
Chris Like starting up the floor for New Mexico State. Lofton steps into a 3. And a foul. Overall defensive field goal percentage to Michigan State.
Miami does not slow down the pace of the game. They push it off. Arguments about the Hurricanes, their defense, because they're not playing a slower pace than would a Virginia be.
This doesn't help sell the matchup, but we have 2 of the worst free throw shooting teams in college basketball going at it.
What do you mean that doesn't help sell the matchup? Yes, it does.
As McCants came up empty, going 0 for 2 and a steal for the Aggies. But New Mexico State ranks, out of 351 teams in the country, 341. They are at 62% as a team, and they're the better foul
Today. So therefore, they're comfortable here on the island.
Inside, laid in.
Holding its own, points in the paint with Miami, where Miami was so dominant yesterday. New Mexico State, a different type of competitor, especially when you get in the painted area compared to Davidson.
Here's Lonnie Walker. 10 to shoot. Likes on the move, fires a 3. Keon Jones lines up at it, and that 3 pulls the Aggies within 2.
And Jones hit a number of big threes last night for his team. And just like that, you see New Mexico State picking up the pace. Another turnover for Miami. And now Zach Lofton with an opportunity to tie the game.
Newton into the key, the floater. Rims out, gets his own miss, then can't get.
One of the things we're seeing from Miami right now is a lot of individual offense, not really moving the basketball very well. I'm sure Jim Larranaga is going to have a conversation with his team about that during the break.
Lonnie Walker is fouled, scoreless for over 3 minutes, yet they still have a 2-point lead. But turnovers have been an issue for the Canes. Corey, they've given it away 7 times already.
And when you're such a good offensive team and you don't want to give away opportunities, but give New Mexico State credit for really getting into the Miami offensive players and making turnovers per game, but already
most exciting freshman in America.
I'm not sure when he made that statement. I love Lonnie Walker, but man, if you're not watching Trae Young, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will.
Shot clock at 10. 5 to shoot. Eli Chua from the corner. Too strong on the 3. Rebound tip free, and Lofton claims it. Canes in the...
Talking about the one of the best rebounding teams in the country in New Mexico State. So they pursue the offensive board as well as anyone in the country.
They're better than +9 rebounding margin per game, New Mexico State. Walker down the lane. And the rebound. John Buchanan in the game, sophomore from Grant, Mississippi for New Mexico State. Tough 3 for Lofton.
Tough shot to make over a good defender in Jaquan Newton, who does his...
In college football history.
Just has that glow right now. Astros, Rockets, you know what I mean? Like I said, the Houston just has that glow on them right now. It's tough having to play against the Cougars.
Jeff Tedford will have Fresno State ready. You can bet on that.
See, there you go with that West Coast bias again, Roxy.
Up and under, Keon Jones. Short of the 3, and the rebound pulled down by Jonathan Wilkins, and a reset for the Aggies. He's a little excitable, and it's understanding considering he spent a lot of time working with Greg Marshall at Wichita State. Aaron pass. Here's Jonathan Wilkins off to the races, and Wilkins.
First half turnovers.
9-2 run for the Aggies. Canes had missed their last 8 shots from the field.
That a number of times yesterday against Hawaii, especially in the first half, where he was able to attack the rim and get all the way there to finish. And he's really a matchup problem for this team.
Wilkins. McCants on the offense. Canes are in the semis of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic.
And Wilkins getting out into the passing lane. The big fella getting out of the break and slamming it home for 2. Won the whole thing 1990. I was hurt. so Coach Larranaga. You know, for those of you who don't know, Roxy was actually in attendance.
I was at that game.
For the greatest upset in college basketball history, which would be Chaminade over Ralph Sampson-led Virginia.
And number 1 for... And back in the early to mid-'80s, even the late '80s, Chaminade would regularly pull off upsets over here.
Well, actually, because you know a little about that. If you remember the name Tony Randolph.
Yeah, I do.
Who was on that Chaminade team, played at Fort Defiance High School with Del Curry, and played against Ralph Sampson regularly in high school. So for Tony, it was just another win. Set in college basketball history.
Miami shooting below 30%. New Mexico State only 24%. And it's a 1-point game. 8 turnovers by the Canes. City Endear to the basket.
And now we're seeing that big lineup for Miami on the floor with Azunda as a way the offensive glass was being cleaned up from New Mexico. So going with his big lineup.
City.
When you don't have as many of your guards on the floor.
One Ewell to the basket.
Just a post player. Now, with the Zunda on the floor, he's able really to go out and be that 4 and show off a bit of his perimeter skill. And I asked, why was it that Wilkins was starting over Chua, who had such a great season a year ago? And they said it's because of Wilkins' ability to score the basketball. And we've seen that here on display so far in this game.
Wilkins' dad, Jeffrey, played in the NBA, also over in Europe.
Because they have been known to throw a couple technical fouls out for things like that in today's game.
Eli Chua, the jump hook.
One thing we have seen from Miami since Coach Larranaga's gone to the bigger lineup, they have cleaned up the issues on the offensive glass.
Shot clock at 10. And miscommunication.
Waiting for my reveal.
I'm gonna wait till Christmas.
You're gonna wait till Christmas. Okay.
Let's keep the audience.
Oh, that's a great gift. That is a great Christmas gift, because I'm going to tell you exactly how this thing is going to go down. In the post, and going up against 2 premier post defenders when you think about Huell and Abuka Zundu for Miami.
Huell fouled by
Ball over, 9 turnovers for the Hurricanes here, some rebounds in the first half. So, but the big lineup has worked.
the rival. They played UTEP twice and beaten the Miners both times.
Their other rival.
And the runner by Lofton.
You know, who do you expect to be able to...
Well-traveled grad transfer. Went to Minnesota, never played for the Golden Gophers, was dismissed for failure to meet expectations and obligations prior to playing for Minnesota. Went to a junior college for a year. Then went to Texas Southern, where he was the SWAC Player of the Year and is a grad transfer for New Mexico State. Largest lead for the Aggies. Eli Chua off on the three. And they're winning his teams out west.
Yes.
As they want to go, New Mexico State is one of 7 schools out west that have won 20 or more each of the last 5 years.
Yes.
Can you name the other 6?
I would go with Gonzaga.
Yes.
Arizona.
Correct.
Let me see.
And the rebound.
2. Okay. Gonzaga, Arizona.
One of them with Gonzaga went to the Final Four last year.
Okay. Oh, Oregon.
Okay.
Point shooter. Okay, so
You got to get 3 more.
I've got 3 of the 6. BYU.
Yes. The Wizards square off against the Celtics in the finale. The Rockets and the Thunder in OKC. All 4 games also available on the ESPN.
Ooh, this is getting
Let me
tough.
know if you want to hit. So you know it's not them?
Big West, Cal State, Bakersfield.
They're in the WAC.
Oh,
New Mexico State's conference.
okay.
But they're suing.
Exactly. It's called forecasting in our business. Wow. New Mexico State, and this is no slight to New Mexico State, who's a very good team, but it's because they have 11 first-half turnovers.
Eli Chu on the block against the 7-footer. Weak side tip-in.
But the problem there is when you leave to go try to block that shot, there's no one there to box out.
Largest lead for New Mexico State. All right, you want the last one?
No, I want to guess the last one.
Chris Likes missing a 3. And the Aggies can play for the final shot if they want. You got 20 seconds.
Give me another hint.
Southern California.
Not Irvine.
It is Irvine.
Oh, yes.
UC Irvine is the other one.
So the fact that I said not Irvine, does that disqualify me?
No, I'll
Okay.
give it to you. You mentioned him. Here's Vasiljevic. Brown. Likes. Blocked at the buzzer. A.J. Harris.
The winning is because Miami has played right into their hands with 11 first-half turnovers, but also give New Mexico State credit for getting the job done on the offensive glass. They have 8 offensive rebounds for 7 second-chance points in this first half, and we mentioned the turnovers for Miami. They have allowed New Mexico State to build offense off of their turnovers. Miami's 11 turnovers have led to 12 points off the turnovers for New Mexico State. By the way, New Mexico State credit because they have been very good defensively. Miami really, I felt like at one point in the first half, they started to try to make individual plays of not trusting the offensive execution better for Miami on the offensive end of the field. He's not a very good free throw shooter, but knocks down 2 here to start off the second half.
He was 45% on the season prior to that trip.
That's mind-boggling. A guy that shoots the ball that well, 45% from the line.
And his first points tonight. Miami's 8 of 11 from the line. And that's the one thing they had struggled with all season was foul shooting. They're doing it well over here in the
I
island.
told you that's only on the mainland. They're a great free throw shooting team here in the island.
Yeah, and Arizona's undefeated in the mainland, too.
Hey, that's where it matters most, I guess.
Sidi and D.
Taking a big shot there, and I'm just happy to see him on the floor after what looked like a terrible injury out in the open court yesterday for him. Back there, I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "No, but I'll make sure I'll be fine once they throw the ball up."
And a 3.
That was
There was an issue with the scoreboard here at the Stan Sheriff Center. That's what they're checking and working on, is Larry Spalding, our official.
the floor, but not give New Mexico State so much room to operate on their offensive end. But those really were just 2 great individual plays by 2 good players knocking down 3-pointers.
The tip, Huell can't get it to get to the semifinal matchup, where New Mexico State had the big lead against Davidson before the Wildcats came back, and New Mexico State squeaked it out last night. And a travel called it.
Scores DeJuan Huell is just over 13 points per game. But they have a very balanced attack. A number of guys, I believe it's 5 guys averaging double figures. And they just have individual plays here in the second half. That's an individual play by Bruce Brown that's set up by the offense to the rim. But you can see that New Mexico State is not in any way, shape, or form scared of the ACC giant Miami. They are here not only to compete, but feel like they can win this game.
The winner gets USC Christmas night in the championship game in Honolulu. DJ Vasiljevic, 3.
And Miami will actually get the basketball back. And as I talked about so many times before, Roxy, off of an offensive rebound, the best time to shoot the 3 ball. DJ Vasiljevic has made me look good twice on my theory.
Sidi Ndir was called for the foul, so 3 plus the ball.
So that has to be after the ball goes through the basket. Because if it's during the same time, I thought it was 1 free throw awarded and then you go the other direction, correct?
And an air ball from it's after he shot the ball.
No, not after, but it has to be after the ball actually goes through the basket because it's now a dead ball, correct?
Yes.
I'm asking you when I know the right answer to the question. You know what? I'm giving you too much credit now. I know you're Mr. Know All of everything about college basketball.
Ndir rattles out the follow. No, Jamario Jones,
who last year averaged close to double digits rebounding as well, and you see them all over the glass. Ndir misses the 3. A body on them other than the foul together, but Huell being in foul trouble now with 3.
Balanced scoring for the Aggies. Chua with 8 to lead the way, 7 each for Ndir and Wilkins. And a foul, 2 of 2 at the line. He was scoreless.
In the islands, he's a great free throw shooter. I don't even have a problem talking about it while he's shooting. I'm not even scared of jinxing.
You're not worried about the broadcast.
I'm not even worried about the broadcast. Not here. Not here.
It doesn't apply. 2-point lead for the Aggies. Five to shoot for Chua. Here's Jamario Jones. And he missed everything, and it's pulled down by Brown. Outlet. And for Andy Enfield and USC.
It has been. And getting a Christmas gift like having to play USC, is that getting like a tricycle under the tree or a lump of coal in your stocking? Because the way they're playing right now, especially with the size in that zone, I'm not sure you want to play USC at this point.
A.J. Harris pushes. Harris to the basket. Mexico State, a 4-point lead.
And A.J. Harris getting out in transition, and there was never a question in his mind as to whether there was anyone quick enough for Miami to get in front of him and stop him from getting to the rim.
Alina no getting Benny Boatwright back for this tournament. Chimezie Metu is playing tremendously for the Trojans. Shaquan Aaron came up big down the stretch in the win against Middle Tennessee earlier today.
Right now, if you're Miami, get the ball in the hands of Bruce Brown. Allow him to run the offense and get your team a quality shot.
Here he is. And
Bruce Brown is more of a point guard than he is a shooting guard. Great with the ball in his hands and making decisions. And he has really come out aggressive here in the second half. I'm sure he got a suggestion, to say the least, from Coach L at halftime.
The floater from Zach Lofton. This is a New Mexico State team that knows how to win.
And they are not going away. And regardless as to what happens in this game, New Mexico State is going to be in it at the end. You're talking about a program that won 28 games last year with the number of... Get it done.
Ibuka Zundu for the Canes. And New Mexico State had a 20-game winning streak last year at one point. It was the 3rd longest winning streak in the country behind Gonzaga in Vermont. They finished at 28-6. As Lofton missing, and the rebound saved from going into Baylor last year. Miami upended in the first round by Michigan State last year as well.
It's a tough matchup for Vasiljevic having to guard A.J. Harris. Harris so quick along the perimeter and good with the basketball. Trying to stay in front of him could be a tough challenge.
Ten to shoot. Here's Lofton. Tries to split it up. 10-2 They've won 4 straight coming into the semifinal matchup with Miami.
And I love the way that Chris Jans talked to us about the fact that when he got the job, he was taking on a group that has had success, and they weren't sure they wanted to do it his way. But after an exhibition loss against Houston, where they got beat close to 40 points, I think that was the wake-up call for this New Mexico State team, and they figured in, they bought into doing it Chris Jans' way, and it's turned out well thus far this season.
Eight to shoot. Brown in the lane. 2-point lead for the Aggies. That's a 2. And the
country. And their leading scorer, Zach Lofton, really hasn't been much of a factor. This team is not just about one guy. They have many pieces that can go out and beat you on any given night.
Lonnie Walker can't get the runner. And the rebound still... Travel. Lamont Smith, San Diego Toreros, and USD is a much improved team this year. And San Diego playing well for Lamont Smith. They're very good defensively. Jim Larinaga?
That would be one Jim Larinaga. Look at you up on your East Coast basketball knowledge today.
Again, I pay attention to your questions. I can't say the same for little Billy from San Diego. And a foul on the drop. 44-40, New Mexico State with the lead on Miami, but Bruce Brown is getting into the act here in the second half.
And 10 points all in the second half for Bruce Brown, but extremely aggressive attacking the rim. And it seems as though Jim Larinaga and Bruce Brown had a bit. Well, Coach Larinaga likes the dialogue. He likes to go back and forth, but he does dominate the conversation, so I'm sure Bruce didn't get many words from that one.
Here is Lofton, missing the 3.
This is an area where when things aren't going your way, it just seems to continue. Basketball, it's where you have to communicate. Somebody has to talk, say mine. Just like, outfielders. You got to call the ball sometimes.
Well, your son's a center fielder. He just takes charge.
Exactly.
Almost a turnover. Lofton fires. Tip.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka alike going after the offensive glass. Chua, no regard for anyone. Superfly Snuka was my guy.
That's true.
Speaking of, I know you saw the Ric Flair special.
The 30 for 30?
The 30 for 30 on Ric Flair. Oh, amazing.
Lonnie Walker, the pull-up. 2 strong.
Individual effort plays from Miami in comparison to trusting your offense, getting some ball movement, just one player touching it, and you see New Mexico State is the more patient offensive team right now in executing on the offensive end of the floor.
10 to shoot. Jamario Jones thought about it. Sean Buchanan from deep, and first points of the night for Sean Buchanan.
But how many players for the Aggies touched the basketball in that offensive possession? If not all 5, at least 4 players, and the ball moved from side to side multiple times to get that shot.
And a fouls on Jamario Jones, his second.
Great ball movement, and moving the ball from side to side normally leads to a good offensive effort for your team. And of course, still a tough three-pointer made.
Now their 3rd foul on Jamario Jones. A little quiet in this one.
Where Jim Larinaga really needs him on the floor, but with only 9-10 remaining in this game, they're going to need him to stay out there, stay out of foul trouble, and give them some offensive input to go along with what Bruce Brown has been able to do here in the second half.
Jamario Jones falls off, but the offensive rebound stripped from Wilkins, picked up by Jamario Jones. Mexico State over number 6 Miami. and the Aggies just finding ways to get it done.
And Roxy, oftentimes in non-conference play, numbers are a bit skewed based upon the competition that you play. But New Mexico State comes into the game 17th in the country and rebounding margin at 9.5. A lot of it has to do with 11.6 rebounds a game. And you look at what they've been able to do to Miami. There's no question about, this is not a skewed number because they're going up against top-notch competition in the Canes and still getting the job done on the glass.
And the U has not made a field goal in about 6 minutes.
And Chris Jans has done this a number of times thus far here.
Against 9-4 Fresno State. The Hawaii Bowl, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, 3:30 out here. As the Fresno State Bulldogs, one of the best turnarounds in college football history under Jeff Tedford in his first year back at his alma mater. Loose ball picked up by DJ Vasiljevic.
And Jim Larranaga actually countering with a zone defense of his own. And that's not something you see very often from Coach Larranaga. He is a diehard man-to-man guy. But trying to figure out something to get his team just a bit of a spark as they trail New Mexico State by 8.
Vasiljevic, tough step back. And the rebound, there is Jamario Jones for the Aggies.
Another individual play, and this is only the second time this season that Miami has trailed in the second half of a game. The first was yesterday against Hawaii. Early in the second half, Hawaii took a lead, but Miami not used to playing from behind in the second half of games thus far this season.
And they trailed ever so briefly in the second half last night against Hawaii.
It was a wake-up call for them last night.
Too late. Shot clock violation.
Lost in the second round of that tournament's run. That was a team that went on to win the ACC and ACC tournament that year, 2013.
And that 2012 Diamond Head Classic was an unbelievable field with Miami, Arizona, and San Diego State with a team-high 15. But that was a memorable championship game as Nick Johnson had an amazing block coming out of nowhere at the rim to help Arizona to the 2012 Diamond Head Classic Championship. Five to shoot. Open the corner. Indir. 3. 9-point lead for New Mexico State.
And where Miami's been so good defensively all year, the field goal percentage for New Mexico State still not great, but yet New Mexico State being able to operate very comfortably on their offensive end of the floor.
Foul, wave up.
And a number of times today, we've talked about how well New Mexico State has moved the basketball, and against this zone, have to recognize where the shooters are, but none of it has slowed down.
Racing up the floor, A.J. Harris.
And oftentimes you want quick shots when you're pressing, but that one was okay. When he doesn't finish, he's normally the last line of defense, getting back.
How about the play of DeJuan Hewell? A block is called and a foul against Miami. But Hewell changes the shot at one end, races up the floor, and follows up with a putback dunk.
Well, he's a special talent, no question about it. And you see DeJuan Hewell coming in with the follow-up slam. But more importantly, an opportunity for Miami to set up that pressure.
That was on Vasiljevic, his second. Lofton hangs in the lane. There is
him back on the floor has been such a positive for Coach Larranaga and his team. He was actually open under the basket right there.
Eli Chua spots up in the corner. Daquan Newton drives, and Newton
only for Newton at the rim.
6 straight for the Canes. Ten on the shot clock. Zach Lofton drives, had it knocked away, picked up by Wilkins, baseline flip, and there's Hewell. That one down.
There's no teaching with that. There's no one teaching him how to do that. He just went and got it.
We're really roughing it this week over in Honolulu.
That's the view from my room, by the way.
Yeah, sure it is. DJ Vasiljevic leading Miami with 15, and Bruce Brown has come alive in the second half.
As well as Devon Huell, and you give those guys credit for really getting Miami back into this game. But Jaquan Newton's layup gets Miami back to a one-possession game, and now Brown, free throw shooter coming into the game at the line now, missing on the front. Then his 44-45 coming into the game.
What level of math did you learn that at?
My kindergarten
80 is
teacher.
better than 44.
My kindergarten teacher, Ms. Luckett.
Lofton splits the double team, and
Hasn't made a shot today, so therefore that's probably why he took on. You talk about a young man who's used to being able to score the ball. And so if he's not making shots, it's got to be the glasses.
10 to shoot. City and Deer from the corner. Long on the three. It's a one-possession game. New Mexico State has led for the majority of the second half. They've led by as many as 9. Devon Huell, jump hook.
And it's really been effective since Jim Larranaga went to the 94 feet. They really have stifled New Mexico State on the offensive end of the floor.
Inside the roll, no for 2 on the tip. Jamario Jones comes up big.
And you don't even have to know. You don't even have to see it. We're blocked out over here, but you know who it is. When the ball goes up and you see that hand tipped in, you know it's Jones because that's just what he does.
And a foul will say. Warriors lost tonight to the Nuggets, by the way.
All-time three-pointers made on Christmas Day. That was a fun time getting to play on Christmas Day, my rookie year, playing in Phoenix against Charles Barkley and the Suns.
Going up against Kevin Johnson?
Yeah. That's why I didn't get a lot of time. Couldn't guard KJ.
Not many people could. 5 to shoot for Jamario Jones. Final minute. Long three. Lofton got New Mexico State up 4. And a steal. A.J. Harris. Harris scoops.
And what we like to call the Lou Henson Classic, it was Zach Lofton with 26 points. Well, he doesn't have 26 tonight, but none bigger than a huge 3 as the shot clock going down. And it was A.J. Harris who scored 16 with a crucial and 1 in that game.
And first at 350 out of 351, while New Mexico State at 340.
And as you mentioned, hope that you can get New Mexico State to miss some free throws.
1 out of 2 for Brown. Here's the pressure. And there's his third, and it's Jamario Jones who is fouled, and that's only the 6th team foul.
Well, and New Mexico State getting it done, the offensive tip by Jamario Jones, and then, of course, the huge 3 by Lofton as the shot clock expires, and A.J. Harris with great defense, stripping Chris Rice.
Vasiljevic the rebound. Brown. Vasiljevic off balance. And the rebound. And a foul.
3.
Loft.
And now we have a 3-possession game. 17 seconds remaining. That is extremely tough for Miami to be able to get back into this one.
Brown for 3. And the rebound, Lofton. And he'll get it up the floor. Lofton will go into showtime mode.
And Miami taking exception to the slam by Lofton. However, the Hurricanes stopped playing. Miami stopped and let it go. I'm sure there's going to be some conversation throughout the handshake line on this one.